What are you talking about? I don't understand why we care about Paul Finebaum. Is there anybody in this world that loves anything as much as Paul Finebaum loves to promote the SEC? There's no way to defend the SEC. And these guys are wrong on everything that they say. The bottom line is simply this. Hey, good morning this morning. The world is a weird place when John Harbaugh gets fired after 18 years and Shane Steichen continues to do her thing, which, ladies and gentlemen, her thing, well, his thing is coach the Colts. I don't get it. But you know you've lost it, as we are brought to you, as always, by the good folks at Prize Picks. Is there anybody in this world that loves anything as much as Paul Finebaum loves to promote the SEC and talk about the SEC? I don't get it. I don't really pay attention to Finebaum. See, Finebaum was going along swimmingly as the bookish guy that had a show, and Harvey from Auburn would call in, and Slappy Johnny would call in, and Joey Bag of Donuts, and Susie Rottencrotch, and he was going along just fine. And then all of a sudden, Stephen A. Smith happened. Stephen A. Smith happened, and everybody looked around and said, hold on, I've been here longer than Smith. How did he get $20 million? So what did Finebaum do? He did what guys are starting to do. He became more opinionated. He became more out there. And guess what? People have made fun of him. People have said, son, you're now being exposed because you don't have the chops. Be the bookish guy that you are. Stay in your lane. You're doing a great job at 70 years old, making a hell of a living. And Finebaum did until he didn't. And everything he said was just blatantly stupid. Signetti bad hire, Signetti bad extension at Indiana, and others. But now it appears, and let me read this right, when you lose Paul Finebaum, you know you're having a bad year. The SEC lost Paul Finebaum. It wasn't just the powerhouse, the SEC, in college football. It was the immovable object. It was the source of media love. Out with the Big Ten at ESPN. In with the SEC at ESPN, which means we got to listen to the SEC is the greatest. It just means more. Haven't you heard? Haven't you heard? But now, fast forward 2026, and Paul Finebaum, yes, Paul Finebaum is now besmirching the SEC, saying, I want to get this right, so I'm going to look down. There's no way to defend the SEC. How about that? You can't defend the SEC. It's impossible to defend the SEC. Now, before we get into this, my thoughts. 10 out of 10 times in my life, if we were going to have a debate, the SEC, the Big Ten, who's better, who's not, who's this, who's that, in college football, I would go by bowl games. Hey, look, everybody back in the day used to play in bowl games. If a guy sat out, he was vilified. The NFL isn't going to look at it. So if you saw Michigan play Texas, hey, Michigan's conference back then, the Big Ten still now, Texas's conference back then, what was it, the Big 12? Hey, Big Ten's better than the Big 12. I don't look at it that way anymore because who the hell knows who's even playing? Who knows? But the bottom line is simply this. As college football has morphed into college basketball, the bottom line is national championships. And the Big Ten has the last two, and they've got 2 of the 4 remaining to win the national championship. There is a guarantee that a Big Ten team will be in the national championship game, Oregon or Indiana. So I don't really go by that anymore. Let me preface that. What I do go by is Indiana 38, Alabama 3. Now, that's a different bowl game. That's a national championship semifinal or quarterfinal. And that, ladies and gentlemen, matters. But let's go to Finebaum. Here's Finebaum on defending the SEC.
Paul, I'll go to you. Is the SEC dominance over as we know it?
I mean, I'm under contract to disagree with you, but I don't really care about the contract. Yes. I mean, I have been on that hill, Stephen A. and I am getting destroyed. There's no way to defend the SEC. It's been terrible. Now, I'm sure somebody at the SEC office is whispering, "Hey, don't forget, Ole Miss could win it all," and that would solve some of the wounds. But this has been a long year for the SEC, and I think in the end, because I kept wrapping my arms around Alabama and saying, "Stephen A., did you remember what they did? They went through that gauntlet in the middle of the year." Well. Right. A lot of those teams they beat really weren't very good after all. They lost in bowl games and they looked terrible. Right. So it's a rough year for the SEC. Ole Miss is it, regardless of the Lane Kiffin story, which I know we're going to talk about. But there's no if Ole Miss loses Thursday night, and I'm sitting around having to defend this league to you, Stephen A., saying, "Oh, no big deal that it's 3 straight years without an SEC team in the national championship game." I mean, there's no defense. Well, it's been rough.
But here's the bigger issue. See, this is where it's great. This is what ESPN's become. I mean, these guys are wrong on everything that they say. I'm sorry. And there is, I don't know, nowhere in any media playbook that says this guy must come on this national network and be the SEC defender guy. I was the Big Ten's guy in college basketball, and I never went overboard to defend them. I said they were terrible when they were terrible, and they were good when they were good. This whole Finebaum thing, I don't get because I don't respect his opinion. I don't get because I don't know who the hell he is, even though I've been on his show. I mean, I get it. He's a radio guy, long time in the South. People like him. I get it. But in terms of saying, look, this is expertise on football, there is nothing about Paul Finebaum that would make me go, oh, yeah, he's an expert. Why? Because he does his show? All right, Matt Yoder, who I like in Awful Announcing, said this: being the one person left to die on the hill of the SEC superiority complex is what Paul Finebaum is supposed to do. But at some point, the brutal truths of reality are strong enough to overcome even the SEC's fiercest defense of their limitless hypothetical victories. Those are the best kind of victories. You don't get hurt. What the hell? After the SEC has gone 2-7 this bowl season against non-SEC competition, and with Ole Miss, their last hope in the college football playoff, Finebaum finally threw in the towel on Tuesday's edition of First Take. He said there's no way left to defend the SEC. Now, this is really stupid coming up. It's a historic moment that will rival man walking on the moon and the first time Bear Bryant ever wore a houndstooth fedora. One of the main talking points for folks outside the SEC superiority complex is that the conference is artificially boosted by preseason rankings that over-evaluate teams from the league because of historic performances from teams like Alabama and Georgia. So when ranked SEC teams play each other, they're automatically seen as proof as the league's strength. But as the bowl season's proven, and I don't know if I agree with that, it's little more than a self-fulfilling prophecy, whereas teams like this year's Alabama are propped up on a house of cards that will fall the moment they actually get challenged by a team from elsewhere. IU. The SEC, being college football's finals boss, has been a great storyline greed for college football over the years, but with the advent of the NIL era, the balance of power has firmly shifted, and the SEC is no longer the dominant force they once were. Of course, ESPN will push the SEC forward as the conference will still enjoy a triple header most Saturdays on ABC that will win the ratings battle. But even that, ladies and gentlemen, is going away. Hey, this episode is brought to you by our good friends at Prize Picks. I'm up. Whether you're starting a new routine or making player picks for the first time, trying something new can be hard. But in life and on Prize Picks, it always feels good to be right. With high-pressure playoff matchups every weekend, and elite hoops action every single night, college basketball delivers. The action never stops. Prize Picks lets you take control. Here's the deal. If you're missing your fantasy team, my league is already over. But with Prize Picks, I don't have to wait until next year's draft to keep playing fantasy. Prize Picks lets you play fantasy football every week, even in the playoffs. Pick your favorite players and win when they hit their projections every week. No draft required. Get in on the action. Prize Picks is now available in all 50 states, California, Texas, Florida, and Georgia. I got picks for you. I'm rolling. I started with $50. I got $440. All right, here are my prize picks. You see him right there. Caleb Williams, more than 208.5 passing yards in his playoff game at home against Green Bay, 8 o'clock Saturday night. Trevor Lawrence, more than 233.5 passing yards. Buffalo at Jacksonville, 1 o'clock on Sunday. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use code DAKICH. Get 50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code DAKICH. Get 50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it is so good to be right. Just like the NFL, the college quarterback market has become bloated. I mean, bloated in the new age of NIL and transfer portal, and now guys don't have to go to the NFL. They can go make the same money somewhere else. Listen to this. Prized college quarterbacks are getting as much as $5 million. $5 million to play quarterback at a school for a year. $5 million. And I got to tell you, in some cases, it's worth it. You tell me Fernando Mendoza hasn't been worth $5 million to Indiana. You can't Carson Beck. I don't know what they paid both of those guys, but if you told me $5 million, I'd say, hell, yeah. The more anybody in the Final Four here, Chambliss. I don't know what anybody's paid. I wish they would start doing this, though. I wish they would do what USA Today used to do. Before the baseball season, they would list every player's salary. I liked that. I did. I didn't care. I wasn't jealous. I liked knowing what guys were making. It was kind of fun for me. I wish they would do it for college football, college basketball. I want to know what guys are making. But $5 million, that's pretty strong, yo, to go play college football. Now, let me ask you a question. You're playing college football. You're making $5 million. Do you think anybody in that athletic department, other than the person that's got to keep people eligible, the compliance director, the academic, is anybody even thinking about academics? Like, I don't care. But I'm sitting there going, all right, if I'm a booster and I get a group together that pays Slappy Johnny $5 million, and all of a sudden, the head coach calls us. He goes, fellas, I'm sorry, but he's academically ineligible. Woo, would I be pissed off? Woo-hoo, through the moon. I'd be hot. I don't think that's a concern. In this year, college basketball year, 2-semester sport, not one basketball player has been ruled academically ineligible at the semester. I'm reading the Bible. It's biblical. What do they say about getting into heaven as a rich guy? Easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle. Easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than for every college basketball player to be academically ineligible. My point is, academics, $5 million, they don't mix unless the guy wants them to mix. The market, this is our friend Austin Perry on Outkick. The market for quarterbacks is so bloated, thanks in part to more deserving signal callers like Matthew Stafford, Patrick Mahomes, inking mega deals, that even mediocre quarterbacks can command a fortune, hamstringing their franchises from making other moves to help the team. It looks like college football, in their quest to be NFL junior, is following down the similar path. Listen to this. Miami reportedly paid Carson Beck somewhere in the vicinity of $4 million to forego his final year at Georgia and skip the NFL draft to come to Coral Gables. And while the Hurricanes are in the college football semifinals, most of that is thanks to their dominance on the offensive and defensive line. Yeah, you can say that, but he's a quarterback. He is the guy behind center, the most visible guy, and they are in the the semifinals, and he's paid off his $4 million in spades. Even non-traditional powers are up in the ante for quarterbacks. Team like Duke paid their quarterback Darian Mensah, $8 million over multiple years to leave Tulane after a stellar true freshman season. But wait, there's more. Let's go to Texas Tech, Lubbock, Texas. Cody Campbell's a booster. He's building a juggernaut of a football team as the team announced they signed former Cincinnati quarterback, former Indiana quarterback, Brendan Sorsby, to a 1-year, $5 million deal after watching their previous quarterback stink it up in the college football playoff game against Oregon. Sorsby was all right. I guess he's really developed. I swear to God, was he a 10th-year senior? I don't know. And then, how about this? This is what you're going to see out of Washington. This is unbelievable. The quarterback there, Damon Williams, entered the portal after already having to agree to a deal with the Huskies. So this guy with Washington, the Huskies, signs a deal. You see it right there. Washington plans to pursue legal avenues to enforce Damon Williams' contract after he signed what the university is calling a legally binding revenue share contract, per Ross Dellinger. Williams agreed to a new deal with the Huskies 4 days ago before announcing that he will enter the transfer portal. The university has been in contact with the Big Ten. This is where we're headed. Guy signs a deal. Lawyer tells him, yeah, man, sign the deal. Better deal comes. Guy takes off for that deal. College kid don't know. College kid don't care. My lawyer will handle it. And then it becomes a conundrum for the school. You ask these boosters to pay this guy. You've set your roster. Hey, Damon Williams is my quarterback. We're all set. Slappy Johnny and the rest have forked in all the money. This dude Williams is going to play. Let's go. I signed another deal with another school yesterday. You did what now? Say what? Yeah, did what? No, this is where we're headed. And earlier we talked about NFL Junior. This is the natural progression. A year ago, nobody called it re-signing with a team. A year ago, nobody knew the numbers. This is the natural progression to NFL Junior. Now we know the numbers, or we're starting to know the numbers. Now we've got guys backing out of contracts, backing out of deals. Now we're announcing the signings on social media like they are NFL, NBA, Major League Baseball, professional sports teams. Hey, I don't know if it's good or bad for the sport. I'm not one to say. I do know this, though. I love Indiana being good. I don't know if that's NIL. A lot of people are saying that's NIL. Maybe it is. However, evaluating and coaching still matters. But back to the other point, I wonder a year from now, are we going to see the evolution of more? I don't know what the evolution of more means for college football. We're already in an era of total free agency. We're already in an era where we're starting to announce contracts, announce re-signings, things of that nature. What would be more? Hey, Sean and Davey, a year from now, what would be a natural progression of more in college football? A year ago, we did not see the announcements of re-signing. A year ago, we did not see not only the announcements of re-signing, but the announcement of re-signing 1 year, $5 million. I don't have an answer for it, but a year from now, like I'm doing right now, looking back, we didn't see any of that stuff. Now we do. What do you think we'll see over the course of this next 365 days, Davey, in college sports that isn't there now? Anything?
There's going to be something, Dan. If I'm taking a wild stab at it, as it relates to the legal action that Washington's looking to pursue, that's all related to the contract revenue share. But what I could see is the idea of trades. Now, when I say trades, it's more of shifting, you've signed this deal with this one school, and we'll trade it to where at least the school is able to recoup something back. It won't be anything crazy like, oh, you get this player versus that player. But as far as the financials of how they're looking to structure it, that'll be interesting to see, because this isn't the first rev share contract we've seen a legal dispute over. If you remember, I'm blanking on the kid's name who was at Wisconsin that then wanted to go to Miami. That was the first time we saw this, but it's just now continuing to evolve. And if I had to say something, Dan, it'd be some form of trade to where at least you're able to recoup some losses.
Yeah. No, that's good. That's good. I agree. Trade would be interesting. You got anything, Sean? What are you thinking, Montana?
I think that we get more outfit displays from college athletes. The way that the NBA feels like you have to track every athlete's outfit when they're walking into the arena. Same with the NFL. I think that's one annoying aspect of professional sports that will indoctrinate itself into the college football landscape, is just, hey, let's make these guys even bigger than they need. Let's make it more vain than we could even imagine. Let's track what shoes they're wearing as they walk into the game. Dan, something I wanted to point out real quick on Sorsby. I know everyone's saying like he's the number one quarterback in the portal. I want a winner. Do you know what this guy's record is the last 2 years in the month of November? He's played 8 games. Do you want to take a guess at what his record's been? Quarterback?
1-7.
He's 0-8.
Oh,
0-8. And this guy is signing for $5 million. You're like, this is the difference maker? Listen, I'm a little hesitant. I'm pumping the brakes.
$5 million, 0-8. Actually played at Indiana. I don't know what his record was there, but I guarantee it wasn't good because the coach got fired. And it was, he didn't play for Signetti. No, thanks for jumping in there. That's pretty good. Trades, that's going to be interesting. I don't know. Maybe that's crazy, but it doesn't seem crazy to me. And, the fashion walk, it's so ridiculous. The only one that's not ridiculous on is Sophie Cunningham, because she basically wears no clothes and walks down and, shakes her ass. I mean, that's, good stuff, fellas. Good stuff. Enjoying the show? Of course you are. Make sure you head on over to youtube.com/@Don'tAtMe with Dan Dakich to like, comment, and subscribe. That way you'll never miss any of our great content. And by the way, tonight, 6 o'clock, we'll be doing a live show. Join us. Can't wait. Right there. youtube.com/Don'tAtMe with Dan Dakich. 6 o'clock, doing a show. Can't wait. Be right back. Tim Brando next. Tim Brando joins us at Tim Brando on Twitter. You see him, you know him, you love him, all over Fox Sports, college football, college basketball, you name it. Tim does it, and he's done it for a very long time at the highest of all levels. All right, let's get right into it right here. You're in Louisiana. You got Lane Kiffin, you got Ole Miss, you got Charlie Weiss Jr., you got coaches going back and forth. What do you make of all this, Tim?
Mind if I add a little intrigue and soap opera to it just a little bit, Dan? I have a daughter that graduated from Ole Miss in 2013. I have a daughter that was at LSU and got out around 2004. So when Saban won his national title in 2003. So let's just say the Brando house is very engaged and was during the holidays and was for about the last 6 weeks. So it's affected me in ways you can't even imagine. It's just amazing, though. I think it is time to put all that behind us because of the way those young guys played and the show they put on. That was as compelling a performance. And I would have said this even had they lost the game to Georgia. That was as compelling a performance to be playing with the kind of pressure internally that team had to be feeling and to have to fight from behind. I think they outplayed Georgia the entire game. The score didn't reflect that because of all the mistakes they made. They were playing hard, but they weren't playing smart. And as a result, they fell behind by 9 at halftime. And Gunnar Stockton, my goodness, could not have played a better game. I mean, that kid was lights out. But there was this kid named Trinidad Chambliss that right now is playing at an even higher level. So it was pretty amazing.
Let me go back to the coaching thing, though, Tim.
Oh, sure. I understand.
You've been in this a long time. I mean, have you ever seen anything like this? And in your experience, I've never been in these meetings with college football coaches. I've been with basketball, and it's much smaller.
Yeah.
But how do you think how do you think now, with coaches not coming back, how do you think this affects? Have you ever seen this? And what do you think? How do you think this will affect?
Well, I think that we've never seen anything like this, unless, of course, you're a Tennessee fan. When Kiffin did what he did, we haven't seen anything like this. You know, Lane is different. Lane is in his own lane. Let's just put it that way. There's no one quite like him. As the saying went back at our old place in Bristol about Keith Olbermann, he doesn't just burn bridges; he napalms them. Yeah. Okay, that's who Lane Kiffin is. He leaves the place, and he levels places when he leaves them. Okay, the cleanup is going to take a while whenever he's gone, and he's got to shoulder a lot of the responsibility for this on his own. I see no such problem with Tosh Lapoy leaving to become a head coach at Cal, or with Will Stein, who's leaving to become a head coach at Kentucky. Okay, on that Oregon staff, I don't see any of that, going on. So everything is magnified because Lane wants it to be magnified, and he's losing a PR battle now, Dan, because he's using this baby way too much. And I use it too, but trust me, there are times when you need to put that damn thing down and just stay off, okay? And that happened long ago for him. He's been as mismanaged as a lot of teenage kids who are being recruited going to Elite 11s and 7-on-7 camps with his own version of hype. And when he tries to troll in the aftermath of using ESPN, who basically set him up with a documentary that made him look like a changed man that was released months before he did this to Ole Miss, where he famously said, or infamously said, I needed Oxford more than Oxford needed me. That's all blown up now. Okay, that's all a charade. Yes. I think we all now know that. And Ole Miss, listen, they're not going to get anything out of this tampering deal. There's nothing that's going to come from this. But I'll tell you why Keith Carter, in my opinion, did it. By the way, Keith Carter was a hell of a basketball player under Rod Barnes on a team that went to the NCAAs that I covered in the early 2000s. He's a good guy. He's an Ole Miss guy. And they have prepared for this destruction that Kiffin had in front of them long before he actually made good on his move and went to LSU. He and Walker Jones, who handles the collectives, another former Ole Miss player who played really well in the Tommy Tuberville era of college football at Ole Miss. They've done a remarkable job. The reason why they're doing all this is to make sure that their people know, that the Ole Miss people know, that this is their feeling about Kiffin in the aftermath of what they felt was treating him as fairly as they could. This is an image-only charge. I don't think Ole Miss believes they're going to get anything out of it. My God, the NCAA is a toothless operation now anyway, so I don't suspect that anything could happen from it. Now, if they wanted to go further with it and say, let's go to court, fine, but I don't think anything will really come of it. But what he's done, he has now set himself up, Dan, and I've told LSU people this, and you can imagine, listen, my career in many ways got started because of my involvement at LSU and calling their games in basketball for Dale Brown. I've got a tremendous affinity for that place. But they are going to be the most hated team in America next year, and as a coach, he'll be the most vilified coach in America. He will be everyone's homecoming opponent when they go on the road. Now, they may be great. They're going to stack it up and buy the best players that you can possibly buy, already have, but they missed on Kejuan Lacey and they missed on Trinidad Chambliss, apparently. So he's not getting everybody that he wants. But this is an absolute level of warfare off the field that I don't think we've ever seen in college football. And it all points to the first conference game of the year next season in week 3. I'm sure the folks in Bristol are lapping it up, knowing that they've got that game between Ole Miss and LSU and Oxford come week 3. But he earned this, okay? I think anybody would understand why a guy wants to go to a place that he believes is a better place, and would understand why he listened to Nick Saban and maybe listened to Pete Carroll too. But the manner in which he's handled it and what he's done on social media primarily since defies logic to me. For a grown man of 50 years of age to be doing that makes no sense to me.
Finebaum came out yesterday. SEC dominance is over. Yeah, look, I don't know. Just add more teams. But what is your take on this? What's a better conference? Is it all national championship driven, Tim? Because I love bowl games growing up. I love them. I do. I watched them, but I don't take any stock in 2 and 7.
No. I'm with
right?
you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. In fact, I felt the same way when we took conferences in the NCAA tournament and we started labeling conferences for strength in the tournament because it's not about conferences. It's about matchups. Okay. That was true in games that mattered, like the NCAAs when you were playing for Coach Knight. So I'm with you 100% on that. But, as for Paul, who's an old friend, he went kicking and screaming to that. He didn't want to say that. Trust me, he went to the bitter end with his Alabama Crimson Tide. I said before the Hoosiers played the Tide to everyone that would listen or to anyone that wanted to talk to me, this is going to be a seminal moment in the history of modern college football for fans, not for the coaches, not for the players, because anybody that's been watching college football knows that Indiana at every level is a better team than Alabama. They are going to beat the living hell out of Alabama, who basically got a gift-wrapped second half from Oklahoma to advance. They really should not have won that game in Norman. Okay, I mean, they got a lot of help from OU in that game. Now, listen, in deference to that, Alabama also turned the ball over a bunch when they lost at home to OU earlier in the year. That's football. That happens. But these people down here, and particularly the Southeastern Conference fans that are in Tuscaloosa, they have been living in a fog over what's going on in college football, thinking that we're the Crimson Tide, we're this, we're that. And to say that Indiana doesn't play anybody, to say that Illinois is nobody, or that Penn State, even with their struggling record in firing, James Franklin when they did, wasn't playing with a chip on its shoulder and giving Indiana all it wanted. That was an unbelievable comeback win. You have a season like Indiana's had and then dominate the way you dominated towards the end of the year, as the Hoosiers did. To think that they were going to somehow lose it and Alabama was going to take care of them and just sort of say, okay, enough, that we're going to do to them what Notre Dame did a year ago. And that's what those people were thinking. Okay, that's what they were thinking. And fans today, they are stuck on brand names, and brand names in this era, in the portal NIL era, they don't mean very much. They don't. They still mean something to the committee, evidently. They still mean something to television executives, right? Because they want the big ratings that come with brand names. But that's what's great about this. I mean, the quarterfinal round to me was unreal because all 8 programs had fan bases that believed they were genuinely going to win the national title.
Yeah, and you know what? I mean, you talk about brand. Nobody had a worse brand for football than Indiana, but I just saw Indiana-Alabama was the highest-rated show in the history of the college football playoff.
Which should tell you that a lot of people took great joy in Alabama getting their ass kicked.
See, I went the other way. Everybody is now on the Hoosier bandwagon, Tim.
Oh, sure they are.
Everybody loves the Hoosiers.
Yeah. Well,
what's going to happen, Oregon, Indiana? Break it down for me based on, whatever you've seen of either team.
Well, I've had, Oregon a couple of times, Indiana I had early in the season too. So you are playing in this matchup, I think, the most gifted. Now, listen, right now, there's no better player in college. And listen, I voted for and my Heisman vote, which I've had for over 30 plus years. It was a runaway freight train. Okay. Fernando had to be the winner and he was my number one choice, but no one right now is playing the position any better than Trinidad Chambliss at Ole Miss. But I'm going to tell you that he's not as gifted as Dante Moore. Dante Moore is a can't miss, has all the measurables quarterback. But here's the issue for him. He's really young, Dan. Fernando's a veteran quarterback, been around a long time. Dante, when we were last there, it was right after the loss to Indiana. They were playing a sad sack of a Wisconsin team that many people thought would be firing its coach soon after the game. And if you remember, it was 7-0 at halftime. Wisconsin was in the game. Late in the third quarter, Wisconsin was still in the game. Now, they got a couple of, oh, by the way, touchdowns. And in that game, he got hurt. Dante got hurt midway third quarter, didn't play the rest of the game. But he had struggled in that game because of what Wisconsin was doing to them from a defensive standpoint. Okay. Some of the coverages were a little bit in his head. Dante's incredibly talented, gifted, like I said, size, can beat you with his legs. Accuracy as a thrower, he's unmatched. He's really, really good. But I think that Indiana is just too complex and too talented defensively for him to deal with. The only way I see Oregon winning this game is with a massive number of explosives. Davison's got to have a big game. He can go deep. He can throw it deep. And if there's some 50-50 balls and Oregon can connect on some of those, and they've got great wide receivers, they do, a plethora of them, then Oregon can win. They're not going to sustain anything against Indiana because the Hoosiers get you behind the sticks so quickly. You know, they are number one in so many areas. It's unbelievable. But the first and foremost thing they do is tackle for losses on first down. Okay. You're going to be looking at 2nd and 13 a hell of a lot more than you're looking at 2nd and 4. And you're going to be looking at 3rd and 10 and 11 more than you're looking at 3rd and 2. And that's the problem whenever you play them. Now, the difference here will be Oregon was able to win a game in dramatic fashion early because of turnovers by Texas Tech. They couldn't have played worse. The stage was too big for Baron Morton in that offense. But Texas Tech's defense gave Indiana a pretty good blueprint on how to handle Dante Moore. You pressure. You make sure you put those guys up there and you put heat on him, and Indiana knows how to do that. Texas Tech was a championship caliber team defensively. They were not ready for prime time offensively in that game. Whereas I think Indiana is a team that is so well coached, never out of position. You know, they are always lined up defensively where they need to be. So I think Indiana will win the game, and I think they'll win the game decisively.
Nice. Before I let you go, give me the other one. You mentioned Chambliss. You mentioned Ole Miss. I mean, they look good to me, but that Miami defense beat the dog out of Ohio State and say,
yeah, they did.
They beat them.
Yeah. Well, Sayin suddenly looked his years too, didn't he? Sayin was made to look young, which I think will happen with Dante. I think Dante will be made to look young, which he is. And I think the same thing will happen to Sayin. You know, people are talking about Moore being the second player taken after Fernando, and that's based on measurables, and he's really good. Listen, Devin Gardner tutored that kid. He was his mentor in the Detroit area. He's really high on him, and he is a wonderful young guy. I think he'd be very wise to stay another year because what he's dealing with in Indiana and what he dealt with Texas Tech, I mean, that's just a sign of what's to come when you go to the next level. In this game with Ole Miss and Miami, the ultimate contrast in styles, Dan. I mean, you've got this explosive basketball on grass approach of Charlie Weiss Jr. with all these wide receivers that are, I think, probably the best receiving core, not named Omar Cooper, Surratt, and Charlie Becker. I mean, those guys have been remarkable. I think you'd agree. But also, Ole Miss has got great wide receivers too. And then you add Kejuan Lacey, who I think answered a lot of critics because he went into the game with a shoulder issue and he ran tough against a Georgia team. Ole Miss is the team of destiny. And Dan, I got to tell you, the storylines, if Ole Miss beats Miami, and I think they will, I think Ole Miss is a matchup problem for Miami. It's big and strong. I understand why Miami is favored. Don't get me wrong. I do understand why they favored. And they got a veteran in Carson Beck who is playing well, but he's not dynamic. He's not. Chambliss is. And I think that for that reason and the matchup, and I think when you win games the way Ole Miss has won games, and you've got a quarterback as hot as Chambliss and a run game to go with it, you know, to get 150, 200 yards on the ground from Kejuan Lacey and others, I think Ole Miss can win that game. And think about this. What better storylines for a national championship than to have Indiana, the losingest program in the history of college football, against a team like Ole Miss, which by SEC standards has been an afterthought for most years. They're not Georgia. They're not LSU. They're not Alabama. They're Ole Miss. And they're the only team standing from the almighty Southeastern Conference. I mean, these are two teams, Dan, that America has no problem getting behind. You know, the casual fans will be so pumped to, and you watch. There will be some pundits, maybe some on Outkick. Maybe our friend Clay won't. Maybe he'll say, the ratings will probably take a hit because Indiana and Ole Miss are not football factories. Okay, but I'm just telling you, America loves teams that have storylines like these two teams. Okay,
absolutely.
One team's quarterbacked by a guy that was in Division II, winning a national title at Ferris State, and is praying for a waiver so he can get a 6th year in, so he can bolster his stock. The NFL's really not interested in him right now. I mean, he was a 0-star. Okay, and then you got Fernando and this Indiana team that in 2 years has turned college football upside down. And Kurt Cignetti, who's now delivered a blueprint that every AD in America believes is the one that they got to find for their futures. And I don't know that anybody else could do what Kurt Cignetti has done. I think he's a one of a kind. So that's the matchup I see. I see those two teams playing for the national championship. And I liked Indiana from the jump. I think that, if something happens or players are lost, I'll talk to you after the games this week, and I might change my mind. But Indiana right now, in my opinion, is the best team in college football.
Well, it is Wednesday, is it not? That means it is What the Hell Wednesday, where we give you all of the craziest that you see all over the internet. Let's do it. What the Hell Wednesday? What the hell? I mean, what the absolute hell? I mean, the idea I got to climb up on the basket, Thurl Bailey style. You can look it up back from 1983. And not Thurl Bailey, sorry, not Lorenzo Charles, Cozell McQueen style. Look that up, Dylan. You'll see. Cozell McQueen, 1983, national champions, got on the basket like that, and thank goodness the basket did not fall down. I mean, Davey, I get it. Everybody wants attention, but hot girl gets up, starts dancing around. That's poetic justice to me, Davey. That's all that is. Poetic damn justice.
You got to do
How
it.
about you?
Got to do it for the gram, Dan. I would have taken one look at this basket from the beginning, and I get it. She's not a big girl by any stretch, but that just does not look sturdy at all. It was a risk. Obviously, not a risk worth taking, and it's definitely going to cost you a trip to the hospital.
Really dumb. Really. What are you doing, people? Sit in your seat. Nobody needs to see you shaking your ass on top. I get it, though. I do. I swear. Next! There it is, right there. Cozell McQueen. Yeah. 19. Look at the long arms on that dude. And the other guy tried to get up there, and Cozell wasn't having it. Cozell was like, get the hell off right here. There you go. Next! Good find.
Dude, I checked that shit off. It's fucking frozen goddamn solid. What the fuck is this bullshit? I can't even get it to the damn truck.
Can you play that again?
Dude, I checked that shit off. It's fucking frozen goddamn solid. What the fuck is this bullshit? I can't even get it to the damn truck.
What do you think, Davey? I mean, you can pull closer.
I think
if you'd like.
It's so frozen. I guess it's gotten to the point he's not able to get it over there. I've never seen that happen. I'm fortunate I don't live in a place that cold, Dan, but I know you decided to escape the cold weather and head down to Florida, so I thought this would give you a memory of being back in Indy.
Yeah, I've never seen it that cold. I mean, I don't know why but you can move closer. Yeah, can't you move your truck a little closer? It looks like a big truck. Maybe you can't. But damn, I mean, I always thought if the gas hose doesn't reach, how about just move the truck closer? I don't know. Yeah. Maybe I'm wrong. No, I know I'm wrong. I can't be right. Are you crazy? I gotta be wrong. Next.
Send it.
You guys blow that?
What?
Apparently, this guy's training to make the highest jump into sand and like set a world record.
Oh.
So he landed it without like injury.
Yeah.
But, I mean, some of the things
What
people
do
will
you
do.
think the world record of jump? Hey, Siri, what's the world record jumping into sand? Let's see. 16 meters. World record sand pile jump. 58 point. Hold on. World sand pile jump. 16 meters. There you go. I don't know what that means, but what that guy is jumping into is really high. So he's got to go 16 meters and set a world record. Next. Crazy.
É louco, não compensa. Cê é louco, não compensa. Cê é louco, não compensa. Cê é louco. Cê é louco, não compensa. Cê é louco, não compensa. Cê é louco.
Maybe is he holding a stick? What is that?
Yeah, it looks like it's some form of not safe platform he's using to get over there and just paint the ceiling as he's about 8 stories up.
Oh, what? Oh, man.
Yeah, for whatever reason, Dan, my the algorithm for this segment has a lot of OSHA violations. Now, granted, this is not in the United States. And going back real quick to the previous video, having to use the metric system, my ancestors here fought to where I would not have to use the metric system, and I appreciate them doing that.
Oh, boy. We're going to my ancestors fought wars so I don't have to use meters?
Yes.
Wow. All right. That is a what the hell for Wednesday. Next.
Boys, this is why I don't go drunk with Joey.
Drinking gasoline.
Oh, fuck. Oh, Joey. Drop. You all right? Oh, good. Yeah, of course. Holy fuck.
That's the dumbest thing I've ever seen. Davey,
You ever
there are a
partied with
lot of ways to
Australians?
die. There are you can get shot, you can get stabbed, you can get shanked, you can drown, you can die in your sleep, you can have a heart attack. There's a ton of ways to die. There really are. But I've said this forever, and I've taken polls on this in a variety of shows. The consensus among folk is fire or drowning under ice are the 2 worst ways to go. Now, here's the deal. Trying to burn yourself in the face is jackassery. Anybody knows, that if you use gasoline explodes. Gasoline explodes and you set your face on fire. Now, I go back to what I said to start. The worst way to die is being burnt to a crisp, at least according to my listeners and viewers. This guy did it intentionally. This guy's the dumbest human being on any video that I will ever see. Now, somebody can say, what about the lady 8 floors up? That's right. That's not smart. But it ain't like setting your face on fire. Nope. This is the dumbest person in the history of videos. I stand by that, Davey, and I will not back down from that, Davey. I won't do it.
But you heard him, Dan. He said he was fine. I don't know if you've ever partied with Australians, but they go the extra mile.
Apparently. Yeah, that's a good. First off, Davey, I'll do stuff for money. I ain't afraid. Hey, do this. I have $100 bet with my daughter and my stepdaughter different times, $100 bet, whatever. But I'm never doing that. And Davey, when I say never, how much money would you do that?
None. The potential for death or basically messing my face up beyond recognition. I've seen people that had to go through like skin grafts and the pain and suffering that comes with that. It's not worth any risk of amount of money.
Right. That right there. There are some things where the ends justify the means. This ain't one of them. Burning my face off. I can't say it enough, by the way. I can't. I cannot say it enough. Don't burn your face off intentionally. And don't drink gasoline. Next. That is crazy to me. All right, there you go. What the hell Wednesday today. Davey, I want to go back to something. Have you ever done anything? I don't know that I have or I haven't, but have you ever done anything where you've looked back and went, whoa, yeah, I could have really, really hurt myself there?
Yeah. Did you ever play the game Chinese Red Light, Dan?
Yeah, you get out and you run around?
Yeah. I got pinned one time.
Pinned by what?
Another car.
Oh.
So fortunately they weren't going super fast, but yeah, that could have ended terribly.
If this were 2 years ago, we would have been canceled for even saying Chinese Red Light. We would, everybody and their mother knows what it is, but we would have been out. We would have been done. It would have been over.
What's your closest near-death experience, Dan?
Yeah. I've never really had one. I'll tell you this. Looking back on it, it happened this summer after my golf outing, stone sober. I was carrying a bunch of stuff upstairs, fell up off of a group of stairs, smacked my head. I mean, I looked at it, impaled myself with a thing, and that was about it. But I never really, I'm kind of a sissy. I'm not Daredevil guy. I'm afraid of heights. I don't like bugs. I'm not going to go up to an alligator here in Florida. I'm soft as a baby's ass. I am. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, tonight, 6 p.m., want to make sure you know, we're going live. Don't at me live, 6 p.m. on YouTube. Yeah, we'll get questions. We'll argue. We'll get in the chat. If you don't like me, bring it. Even better. Real-time stuff today, 6 o'clock, right there. Don't go to youtube.com/@don't@me with Dan Dakich. Looking forward to seeing you in the chat. All right. Donald Trump, he kind of throws out insults like low IQ, stuff like that. And we all get it. But I don't think anybody ever fits the low IQ mode like Jasmine Crockett. Jasmine Crockett, to me, represents the worst of the worst. Now, you want to say that's racism? Go ahead. You want to say that's sexism? Go ahead. Whatever you want to say, because frankly, that's your only defense of Jasmine Crockett. She's just a vile, nasty, fraudulent human being. And she's on the way to getting her ass booted out because of redistricting. But she's not going down quietly, and good for her. And in typical Jasmine Crockett way, her mastery of the English language and her thought of, look, I'm in Congress, how about I be a leader? Well, that doesn't occur to her because she knows she started in Congress with this much money and now has this much money, millions and millions and millions. And these folks, or folks like Jasmine Crockett, they don't want to lose that. All right, here's the deal. She's mad at the Supreme Court. She's mad at the Supreme Court. The Congresswoman took to YouTube to cuss out the highest court in the land over a redistricting decision that moves her out of her own district and adds up to 5 GOP seats to the U.S. House. Leadership would be reasoned. There would be a reasoned argument, but this woman decided her argument is to do what dummies do. MF, cuss at, and basically show she is a dumbass. Here is Jasmine Crockett being Jasmine Crockett.
Definitely kudos to the Trump justice who wrote the 160-page opinion denouncing what took place in Texas. And fuck you to the Supreme Court for what they did. As well as, we'll see what happens in some other places.
Oh, wow. That had to hurt. That had to hurt. Some little girl tells the Supreme Court after you. Oh boy, that hurt. And she said it with such pride. That's what I like. I like when people like Jasmine Crockett. I like when the Schiffs of the world, the Tim Walls of the world, talk tough. It's cute. No, it is. It's really, really cute. But anyway, long story short, hopefully she's gone and her 10 minutes are up. I don't think they will be. She has the ability to, I don't know, cuss, yell, scream her way into the public consciousness. But can anybody name me one thing Jasmine Crockett has ever done in her life besides change her tone of voice depending on the audience she's speaking to, whether it's a little ghetto girl or whether it's a little Caucasian white girl? She's beautiful at changing her tone, just like Kamala Harris. Good for them. See, when Brian Kelly did it, we all got mad. When Jasmine Crockett did it, we're all afraid to say what it is. Good for her. Here's from Fox. Jasmine Crockett said, F you to the Supreme Court over its decision to temporarily uphold Texas's new congressional district. In a video posted to her YouTube account on Sunday, Crockett commented on what she claims are efforts by President Donald Trump and the Republican Party to rig the system. Really? Again, gaslighting. Why do you think, as we talked to Michelle Tafoya yesterday, there's so many Somalis in Minnesota to rig the system? Why do you think Biden and his ilk wanted millions of new voters coming from other countries to rig the system? And now Jasmine Crockett doing what the dumbasses on the liberal side of things do, which is gaslight, rigging the system ahead of the midterms. That's what she says. Supreme Court issued an order in December keeping Texas governors' redrawn districts in place ahead of the November elections. The new congressional districts are expected to add up to 5 new GOP seats. Good. The new congressional maps also move Crockett out of her current district, which likely factored into her decision to launch a Senate bid shortly after the Supreme Court decision. In response to Texas's new congressional maps, California governor and resident crook. You been to California? What a dump. Unbelievable what's going on there. Gavin Newsom pushed a ballot initiative in November that would create 5 more Democratic-leading congressional districts. In December, Indiana's Republican-led Senate rejected a vote on a new congressional map that would have added 2 seats. Trump was here a lot. Well, actually, J.D. Vance was here a lot, trying to talk to our folk about redistricting, and they said, no, there you go. During the video, Crockett urged more efforts to reform the Supreme Court, citing her experience on the Court Reform Now task force in 2024, including proposals for term limits and court extensions. Of course, Crockett had to go out and make an appearance on America's most ridiculous Trump derangement syndrome show, The View. Here's Jasmine Crockett on The View. Let's see what dialect she speaks in.
So over the weekend, the Trump administration forcefully captured Nicolas Maduro and his wife from Venezuela without notifying Congress. President Trump is saying the U.S. will run the country of Venezuela and its oil reserves in the meantime. How do you see this playing out? What's next?
Well, I mean, we've seen this play out before. I guess this is one of the reasons that some people don't want us to know history, is so that we are doomed to repeat it, and seemingly that is what we are doing. Here's the problem. The biggest problem that I have is that it was illegal. Everything that this administration does is illegal, and so I don't know how you take the moral high ground when you are actually executing something in an unconstitutional way in the first place. Right. And so if you had what you needed, which he truly believes that, I guess, then you just would have went to Congress and gotten us involved. But instead, you know, we're hearing leaks and reports that he talked to oil folk, but he didn't talk to Congress. Right. What kind of sense does that make?
It makes perfect sense because it's not illegal. Obama did it. Clinton did it. Everybody, there's no act of war. They just simply went and extracted a wanted criminal, and the people of Venezuela are happy. They're trying again. They cannot ever come up with facts. History repeats itself, but did she say what that history was? Of course not. Her dumb, ridiculous ass got talking points from the Democratic committee. Talk about history. What history? Talk about it being illegal. Talk about if it's about oil, good. I mean, damn, I watched Landman. I understand the importance of oil. Now, I didn't really listen to what she said, but I heard the initial. So I did hear this is history repeating itself. So I sat there and said, okay, tell us the history, little girl. Couldn't do it. It's illegal. No, it's not. No, it's not. It's not an act of war. Nobody declared war on anybody. They went and got somebody that is charged under U.S. law with drug trafficking. Nothing illegal about it, but this is what they say. This is what they do. They say these talking points to get it out there. It's like a defense attorney in front of a jury. We say these things. The judge says you can't say that. Okay, it's not true. Okay, but it's in the juror's mind. That's all they try to do. And if you're dumb enough to follow it, then you truly are a Democrat. But you're not fooling anybody. It's not illegal. There is no declaration of war. And this is no different than what happened in Libya. This is no different than what has happened for hundreds of years in the United States. Jasmine, you go, girl. What do they do with fingers? Woke-a-dope me. Woke-a-dope, woke-a-woke-a-dope. Recognizing the warning signs of a far-right extremist. Full-time employment, check. Literacy, check. Loves his family and country, check. Common sense, obeys the law. There you go. All things that are deemed bad by liberals. Purple hair, killing kids, open borders, high inflation, all things that cartels, drugs, all things that are supported by liberals. Next. Free Palestine. Free Iran too. Free Iran too, right? Yeah, hippie. Yeah. Free Iran too. Yeah, all right. There you go. I don't know. Here's what I do know. What I do know is if Donald Trump cured cancer, liberals would be pissed about AIDS. Free Palestine, my ass. Next. Ooh, Tampon Tim. He may need one of those, not in the front, but in the back. Hey, I will say this. Tampon Tim made a big speech yesterday. That dude's lost a lot of weight. No, he has. That's the first thing I noticed. Wow. Stress getting to him. Wouldn't that be something? If that disingenuous prick ended up in jail, and throw his wife in there too, would ya? Hey, last thing. You know, Paul Davis, basketball player, and a good one over at Michigan State, was ejected from the Michigan State USC game on Monday night. Davis was ejected after getting into an argument with referee Jeffrey Anderson. After a conversation with Anderson, Izzo looked across the court at Davis and yelled, "What the F are you doing? What are you doing?" There were reports that Izzo was the one that threw Davis out. And let me say very clearly, if that is in fact true, Davis is a coward. If the Indiana basketball coach even thought about having me ejected from a game, he would be told two things. One, go F yourself. And two, my fat ass is sitting right here. Look, a coach, great. You got to whistle, you yell, you scream, you act tough, great. But myself and other players, I had 3 concussions playing in Indiana. I had to have hip surgery, diving for balls, years later playing in Indiana. I don't give a damn what the coach thinks. There ain't no chance anybody, the coach, the referee, maybe, ain't no chance the coach is throwing my ass out in my gym. Izzo's never broken a sweat on the court at Michigan State other than yelling, screaming, whatever. And I love Izzo. Great guy. But him yelling at me on the court, he would get yelled at right back. If Izzo yelled across, or if the Indiana coach yelled across at me, he would get it right back, because I don't give a damn about some coach at this point in my life, and neither should Paul Davis. Now, they had Paul Davis get up there and apologize and blah, 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 blah. But Izzo felt it necessary to embarrass one of his former players. That don't make no damn sense. Izzo's never dived for loose balls on that court. Davis has. He's never gotten his teeth knocked out on that court. That guy got mine at Indiana. There is zero chance I'm sitting there letting a freaking coach embarrass me like that. But I'm a little older than Davis, and Davis probably wants tickets. Me, I don't care. But I'm telling you, man, if the Indiana coach even thought about saying anything to my sorry ass, 2 words or 2 sayings, go F yourself, and my fat ass is sitting right here. We'll see you tomorrow.